very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Amit Chopra, MD Shoes and Accessories. Unprecedented events within the last couple of months has caused many of us to re-examine the fundamental approach to run the business. The biggest lesson I learned from the crisis, nothing is in our hands, but we must still watch them. And now we have this star word called Atmanirbhar. And I believe, unlike others, this word would be a lambi race ka ghoda. After Kolaveri D, this is the only word which has crossed our nation in no time. If you go out today, you will see retailers have launched a Atmanirbhar range of brands. Multiple products are being sold by this name now, while struggling to define it. So today, we are looking forward for an interesting outcome and some thoughtful considerations from the panelists on Atmanirbharta. So I'm pleased to see my favorite people on the panel who would touch on innovative B2B integration roadmap. So I invite you all to join me on an intellectual adventure to discover what it takes to become Atmanirbhar. You are the judge and the jury. Let the evidence speak. On behalf of the entire team of Shoes and Accessories, I would like to express our sincere admiration for amazing efforts put by CLE Chairman Mr. Akil Ahmed in the sector's promotion and growth. Being positive in a negative situation is not naive, it's leadership. The professionalism that you've shown has motivated the entire sector immensely. So on that note, I invite CLE Chairman Mr. Akil Ahmed to please deliver his keynote speech.
Very good afternoon to everyone, and very warm welcome to my industry members. I'm very glad to see today the great presence across Pan-India to this webinar, Atmanirbhar Bharat. This Atmanirbhar Bharat is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, for a self-reliant nation building. This does not mean isolation from other world, but it means integrity of every country, every nation to join and make production in India. I'm very happy today that we have a panelist who are very successful and leaders and businessmen across Pan-India. I'm going to talk about and taking forward the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister and government for self-reliant economy. We should be the first industry to demonstrate that we can do Atmanirbhar Bharat. I remember very well the days. I have the greatest admiration for the association IFCOMA. I still remember 25 years back, I was called as a chief guest of the evening function in Calcutta. This was probably my first dais I have ever shared or I attended a meeting in the industry. It reminds me, and thanks to the then BD Bhaiya was the president there, Vipenji, Mani Almal, and Ketanji, everybody are a very good friend. I still, when I became the president of the Indian Shoe Federation, first meeting was in Calcutta. So back those days, and now I thank Ketanji as the president of the IFCOMA and a very key role model for us and the key component component industry is representing, which is the really need of the hours today. Today we are not very far from each other, yet near the technology has brought not only all the industry together, but also the government is also very close to us now. CLE had yesterday 6th round of meeting with Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal ji, had an interaction through VC webinar, and also had the privilege to have the video conference with Honorable Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Honorable Union Minister of Finance, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, Honorable Union Minister of Road Transport and MSME, Shri Som Prakash ji, Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Anurag Thakur ji, Minister of State for Finance. CLE had meeting with all three Union Minister, two Minister of State, and also the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. We had the opportunity during this lockdown period to interact with the government. In addition, we also had the meeting with the industry stakeholders, foreign associations, committee meetings, B2B meetings. I had 42 webinars CLE had conducted all during these 3 months. In fact, we have traveled all over the continent, all over the countries, everywhere, even with the airplane, we would not have gone. We have traveled, we have engaged ourselves into marketing activities. In Russia, we are starting on the July BSM, virtual BSM with Peru on August 5th and 6th. Already we had Korea and Vietnam. Our Vice Chairman, Sri Sanjay Lekha, was leading these two webinars earlier. This point I would like to also bring that CLE is very proud to inform you that we will be signing an MOU with the American Association based in Washington called FDRA and USFIA, US Fashion Industry Association. They're a very powerful organization there. We have already reached them. And I've also mentioned to yesterday to Honorable Commerce Minister, he was very, very pleased to hear that CLE had been very actively participating and making sure that our country's export will grow and industry will grow. There are many associations, as far as I could see, 40 or more association has its own agenda. Some of them even have councils. However, we need to come together strongly with one goal and motive to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat. And that is why we are here. And I wanted to address the key factors which will lead for the Atmanirbhar Bharat is on the branding side. We need to have a strong branding, technology, exposures. Exposure means the new market, new opportunities, production, facilities in India, distribution. How do we distribute? Retailing, e-commerce, product segments, and also specializing in sports, casual, gender-wise, and also the children's shoes, which are very, very economical to make in India, and also known for the best sourcing opportunity for making children's shoes. When we can make children's shoes, I'm sure we can make sports shoes. These are the focus areas which we need to address properly today and need to make best example. I wanted to mention, I remember still that we went for a trip to Brazil a few years back, about 10, 15 years back. We saw Brazil, how integrity their country is about. They have production of glass, they have production of components, they have production of soles, they have leather, they have machineries, they have everything there. And Vipin said was there with me, and those are the days that we have seen. In those years, they were self-dependent. They were not importing so much as what we do today. But at the same time, I had happened to opportunity to go 2 years back, and I saw that I was asking for some imports of shoes. They said, no, we are full. We have so much of domestic market. We are so busy with our own production there. This is self-reliance, something that we need to emulate from Brazil and Italy, for example, where we have to make everything in India. Vietnam came into existence and expanded their business because of the trade relationship with other countries. They have become very independent today. There is hardly any imports into Vietnam, but there is a huge exports from Vietnam. And this is the way that self-reliant within this year, we have to achieve excellence in the manufacturing in our country. You know, the pandemic COVID has not left anyone, including the chairman CLE, because I lost about 3.9 million export orders. And our industry has lost about $1 billion bankruptcies we are seeing, and increasing overseas default in payment. And ECGC is also not covering. We had a lot of discussion with the chairman ECGC, and also we are making, and yesterday also I took this point with Honorable Minister, say that post-shipment we are able to cover the insurance, but not for the pre-shipment. And suddenly if the customer cancels the orders, it's all branded product, we are not able to do. What I learned here is the global pandemic, before it came, why it happened. You know that there was a study I just studied there in a magazine that global debt reached $255 trillion, which means with a 7.7 billion population, that every individual debt is about $32,500. So we are living in a debt world. And this is something not sustainable for a longer time. And this COVID-19 and also have shown that we need to be sustainable, and both government and businesses need to be sustainable. And the only way to have a fiscal discipline and come back to a normalcy by reducing the debts and debts after debts. This is the only way to come out of the COVID and the future, probably the business model. And I also have to thank and acknowledge that our country is the most stable country, I would say. There are countries which that have 100% devaluation of currency, shortage of food, shortage of things. Why I bring this point to you is that every time we expect so many things from the government, but we also have to give to the government as a citizen, as a country. We also have to contribute. Government has done a lot to us, especially during this time. MSME segments have been brought. As you have seen that 98% of our industry is going to be under the MSME. When I spoke to the finance minister, Nirmala Sitharamanji, I said, Madam, Digital India, if Digital India was not done in the year 2015, what would have been the situation today? How do we transfer the money? How would have paid to the employees? How the transaction would have gone? Today we are sitting at home and still able to do all our businesses. We have learned another way of learning the business. This is again to thankful to the government of India for bringing the digital India, make in India, made in India. Our export have fallen 10% compared to last year. But I just mentioned casually to Honorable Minister, I said if you'd have allowed 1 week to extend the lockdown, probably March end is what we try to push our exports to achieve the target. Every company wanted to make more sales and show more sales and more profit during the year, but unfortunately it could not happen. So I said we lost 10% of the business and our export has gone down from 5.6 to 5 billion. But this year, April and May combined, we did about 128 million compared to about 757 million. But still, I am very confident this is the statistics that we get from other industry also. Apart from that, the imports is a question mark, and I wanted to tell the members that import is on the components we do about $80 million and $500 million on the rawhide, skin, and finished leather. 180 million worth on the chemical and input per annum, which itself, when you compare to the export, it makes 15% of our export. But still, our industry is the only industry which makes the foreign of exchange in favor, balance of trade in favor, and the highest employment of women and highest foreign exchange. No other industry is converting. And this figure, if these materials are even consumed locally for local sales and things, then still the exporters are doing much greater job. But that doesn't stop us by being satisfied. But still we have to ensure that every component, every items is made. And this can be done not by you and me, but we have to involve our customers, we have to involve our suppliers, we have to involve everyone to say and make sure hand-holding is really required. Because you are all the people who are holding the highest position in the business. Top exporters, retailers are here, exporters are here, and the audience, the finest people I could see that from industry are listening to us. And they all have to make sure that we bring Atmanirbhar Bharat, and our industry should bring this first into the implementation. And CLE has also requested the integral footwear park, but I told recently, I said, let's not wait for the park, because to bring the park, it will take 2 to 3 years. But we have to invite our buyers, our importers, our components where we buy, to set up a manufacturing unit here. And this can be only done among all of us. When we all join together, we can make one platform and say Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we will prove to the government that our industry is the leading industry, creating employment and making the export, making the domestic, and making sure that we are the sourcing country for the world. And with the relationship what we have with America, with the relationship what we have with the Europe, we can do wonders today. We can do wonderful business we can do with abroad for the reputation that we have. And therefore, and I'm ready here to take any questions after this, but I want the panelists to start the debate today and to ensure that we reach our goal. And our Prime Minister goal, our country goal, our nation goal. We all benefit with this. And thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Akhil sir, for such a wonderful and energizing keynote address. You really fill the house with so much of energy. All the compliments to you, sir. Also, thank you for sharing your sharp insights. You've given such a wonderful context to this whole, philosophy of, Atmanirbhar. Now, that something is so very well embedded, and we're going to be talking about through the session now hereafter. My opening sort of comment would be here, just to also add a trigger, that one of the very popular sentiments that we've been witnessing all this while noticing is that we keep saying to each other, we're all in it together. Now, if we're all in it together, then I believe there's no thought for ekle chalo. It also has to be together. And Akhil sir, you just spoke about togetherness. You spoke about hand holding. It's so very important. And as we proceed with the panel discussion, we're going to be talking of all the relevant subjects, all the relevant triggers, which directly impact Atmanirbhar. Ease of doing business, competitiveness, the vocal for local concept that we're talking of. All of that is going to come into play as we have an energizing discussion with all the panelists. With this thought in mind, I'm happy to invite Mr. Ketan Sangvi, President of the IFCOMA, to please come with his opening remark. And IFCOMA, as you all know, is a wonderful, energized subset of our footwear industry. To over to you, Mr. Ketan Sangvi. Kindly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, and namaskar to all of you. Thank you, Amit ji and Vikas ji, for inviting me to this panel with special focus on components. My special thanks to our dynamic chairman of CLE, Shri Akilji, for organizing this webinar. Akilji, I also must confide with you, this is my first whatever public appearance after many years. So please excuse me if I may make some mistakes. And my special greetings to all the eminent personalities on today's panel. COVID-19 has adversely impacted the entire industrial sector in India, including the footwear industry. As recognized by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji himself, leather footwear can become a champion sector from the changing circumstances around us. Global brands are looking to alternate solutions to make their supply chains more resilient. India's seasoned footwear industry presents a ready-made answer to several of their problems. Several top brands were already moving their operations over to India well before 2020. I believe that with this unified vision and plan of action, we can make India a major sourcing hub. This will not happen overnight, but the discussions like these between various stakeholders such as footwear manufacturers, component manufacturers, government agencies, etc., can be the starting point for such efforts. One of the biggest steps required to develop the component industry in the long term will be technology acquisition and its subsequent upgradation, capacity expansion, and at times rationalization. This can only be achieved by establishing partnerships between stakeholders at all levels, be it brands, footwear manufacturers, component makers, machine manufacturers, and other agencies. Each linkage will strengthen the network. The suggestions that come out of these discussions should be a win-win in nature. They should not be they should be made keeping the future in mind rather than the past. Another point I would like to emphasize is the need to keep the government agencies involved. I'm sure if presented correctly with the right data and evidence, we will be able to turn government's enthusiasm and in particular Modi ji's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat into a reality. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your audience in attending this meeting on a Saturday evening. And once again, thank you Akilji for organizing this webinar. In the course of webinar, some of my colleagues will be presenting their ideas to the industry. If you have any ideas or queries of your own, please feel free to contact any of us. Thank you and Jai Hind. Over to Vikas.
Uh, Thank you, Ketan ji. Thank you so much. I'm happy to. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. The sector definitely needs a unified vision and a plan of action. Mr. Akil Ahmed, you are an engaging speaker and certainly you've set the stage. The footwear sector needs to fire all cylinders to achieve Atmanirbharta. Bold measures need to be taken over the next 5 to 10 years. We must act fast, act together to usher in a stronger and self-reliant sector. So coming to the panelists, must say that you all are very brave to attend yet another webinar with us. And we expect some very sharp insights from you. Another point I would like to just suggest the panelists is like एक और बात जो मैं कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि कृपया बेझिझक अपनी राय, अपनी विचार, अपनी बातें रखें, भाषा की चिंता ना करें. We have a lot of audience who might be comfortable in Hindi as well. ये आत्मनिर्भरता पे चर्चा है, लिटरेचर पे नहीं है, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you so much. I'm so happy and pleased to reach out to the August panelist. Today, the panel comprises of representation from the associations, footwear manufacturers, component manufacturers, representation from the retail, representation from the brands, and the industry vouchers. I was also told that we could even be having some foreign dignitaries joining us also. Wonderful. My first question is to Pooran Davarji. Pooran Davarji, as you all know, is the president of FMAC. Dawar sir, आपसे मैं पूछना चाह रहा था that historically our industry has been dependent on imports. We've been importing finished products also. We've been importing a lot of components also. तो अब आगे जाके आपको क्या लग रहा है ये जो पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट है ये आत्मनिर्भर का, तो इसमें कितनी एक एंगेजमेंट होने वाली है, क्योंकि आप मैक्रो माइक्रो हर व्यू से देखते हैं, तो सर आपका 360 डिग्री व्यू क्या है इस पूरे कंसेप्ट को लेके, अगर आप प्लीज हमें हमारे से शेयर करें प्लीज.
Wonderful intellectual forum organized by the shoe industries, Mr. Baggaji and Amit Chopra, and wonderful opening remarks. It's a really an intellectual forum. There's an intellectual remark from our very dynamic chairman, Mr. Akil Ahmed. So he, unfortunately, आई विल लाइक टू कन्वर्स इन हिंदी। मुझे लगता है कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनने के लिए, या जब हम वो लोकल पर वोकल होने की बात करते हैं, तो सबसे जरूरी है कि पहले हम अपनी भाषा पर विश्वास करें, अपनी लैंग्वेज पर विश्वास करें और उसमें बात करें, क्योंकि हम सोचते हिंदी में हैं, बोलते हिंदी है, और जब उसको इंग्लिश में कन्वर्ट करके करने की बात करते हैं तो वो इंटेलेक्चुअल जरूर लगता है, कि हमको लगता है कि कोई इंटेलेक्चुअल बात कर रहा है। यही सबसे बड़ी हमारी कमजोरी है कि हम अपने आत्मनिर्भर इसलिए नहीं हो पाते कि हम लोग दूसरे के विदेशी लैंग्वेज पर और विदेशी प्रोडक्ट पर ज्यादा विश्वास करते हैं। जब हम लोकल पर वोकल होने की बात करते हैं तो हमको शुरू करना पड़ेगा अपने भाषा पर, अपने उस पर विश्वास विश्वास करने पर। जहां तक कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री की बात है, तो डेफिनेटली आत्मनिर्भर कंपोनेंट होना ही होना है। और यही रीजन है कि कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के लिए, और कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री जब तक हमारी ये बैकबोन है, वो जब तक स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं बनती, तब तक कोई प्रोडक्ट हमारा अच्छा इनोवेटिव प्रोडक्ट बन नहीं सकता। That was the reason we started in 2007. Meet at Agra we started, and that was a only component fair, that was not a product fair. आज कोई कंपोनेंट फुटवेयर इंडस्ट्रीज का कंपोनेंट कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है। इवन अगर हम एमएसएमई में जेट इंजन भी बनाना चाहें, तो जेट इंजन भी एमएसएमई में बन सकता है। उसके 1000 कंपोनेंट जो है, एक एक कंपोनेंट एक बनाएगा और एक असेंबल करेगा। इसी तरह से हम शुरू में करते चले आएंगे। तो किस तरह से हम लोग अपने सेल्फ डिपेंडेंट हों, और उस पर थोड़ा सा मुझे लगता है कि गवर्नमेंट की जहाँ तक बात है कि गवर्नमेंट इज एब्सोल्युटली ऑन द राइट रूट। कभी हमने ड्रीम में भी नहीं सोचा था कि एक दिन जीएसटी आएगा and we will be sitting in our office, we will be doing all the jobs we have not seen in our office, even the GST offices where these offices are. इसी तरह से फेसलेस इनकम टैक्स का हो, गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से काफी कुछ चीजें आ रही हैं। आत्मनिर्भर भारत में हमको प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी जी जैसे मिले हैं, जिन्होंने लोकल पर वोकल होने की बात कही है, और उसी पर चर्चा के लिए हम आज यहाँ जो बैठे हैं, कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्रीज के दिग्गज, मुझे लगता है कि हम लोगों को थोड़ा सा सोच को बदलना है। जो टर्म्स विद द फॉरेन बायर्स, फॉरेन सप्लायर्स, जब हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं कोई चीज, उसको हम एडवांस करते हैं, उसके लिए हम एलसी खोलते हैं और उनके ऊपर दो यहाँ से 10,000 किलोमीटर दूर बैठे होने पर भी उन पर विश्वास करते हैं। We have to believe on our own component suppliers in India. We have to keep the same terms for them. We have to, even if we need to pay somewhere advance, we should pay advance. And somewhere we need to open the LC for them, we should open the LC for them. We have to support all over to the component industry. और उसको खुल करके हमको सपोर्ट करना होगा। और कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री से जो हमारी उम्मीदें हैं, वो ये उम्मीदें हैं कि वो क्वालिटी दें, इनोवेटिव प्रोडक्ट्स दें, और उसके साथ में हमें जो है डिलीवरी, ऑन टाइम डिलीवरी दें। तो निश्चित रूप से कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री आगे बढ़ेगी हमारी, और देयर इज नो रीजन दिस कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री कांट ग्रो इन इंडिया। आगे हम इसमें अपने यही इस पर चर्चा में बात रखना चाहूंगा कि वी मस्ट बिलीव इन आवर ओन इंडस्ट्री, ओन कंपोनेंट्स, ओन इंडियन कंपोनेंट्स। खास तौर से मुझे लगता है कि टेनरीज जो है इस समय काफी मुश्किल में है, क्योंकि एवरी फ्रॉम लास्ट 5 years लगातार 5 साल से मोर देन 20% एक्सपोर्ट गिर रहा है। और टेनरीज पे जितना भी है आज की क्रस्ट पे काम हो रहा है, और क्रस्ट मोस्टली इंपोर्ट हो रहा है रशिया से, ब्राजील से, इजिप्ट से, न्यूजीलैंड से। वो अपनी टेनरीज को हम लोगों को कहीं ना कहीं अपनी प्रक्रिया को बदलना होगा, क्योंकि जब टेनरी को जब हम ऑर्डर करते हैं एक 1 लाख फुट का,
You need to
उनका
mute
वही
everybody. Can't hear.
Yeah.
You have to mute all.
Can you mute kar lo? You can hear me or not?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
No, but we can't see Dawar Saab.
Yeah, you can see now. Hello.
Yes, we can see. Yes, we can see.
Please go ahead.
मुझे लगता है कि टेनरीज को अपनी थोड़ी सी वर्किंग स्टाइल में को बदलना होगा कि अभी तक हम लोग जब टेनरीज को ऑर्डर करते हैं, अगर 50,000 फुट का ऑर्डर करेंगे तो भी 5,000 फुट आता है, तो भी 10,000 फुट आता है, और हर लॉट अलग अलग आता है। अगर क्यों ना हम जो फॉरेन सप्लायर के लिए जब एलसी खोलते हैं, क्यों ना उनके लिए 1 लाख फुट की एलसी खोलें और 1 लाख फुट एक साथ में एक टाइम में आए और एक ही तरह का कंसाइनमेंट आए। ऐसे छोटे छोटे बदलाव हम लोगों को कंपोनेंट अपनी इंडस्ट्रीज में करने हैं, और डेफिनेटली वी विल बी डिपेंडिंग ऑन आवर ओन आत्मनिर्भर भारत। और कोई भी कंपोनेंट ऐसा नहीं है जो यहाँ नहीं बन सकता, उसके लिए जहाँ खुल करके हम लोगों को हैंड होल्डिंग करनी होगी और सपोर्ट करना होगा। मुझे इतना ही कहना था पहले, उसमें अगर कोई क्वेश्चन होगा तो बात करें।
Sure.
Thank you, Dawar Saab. Thank you, Dawar Saab.
So I would direct the next question to Mr. Irshad Mekha. You run one of the largest, most organized and backward integrated manufacturing plants in the country, quietly producing extraordinary results. With tensions brewing between India and China, Chinese imports have been piling up at Indian ports, awaiting clearance to enter the country. Most recently, DHL, TNT, FedEx have stalled the deliveries from China to India. Now, if such disruptions happen in the future, it certainly would be worrisome for the exporters to commit time-bound deliveries. Also, lately I heard that Chinese are advising their companies to stop exporting to India. A counter-attack could be fatal for the industry. And then we have some serious nomination issues. Brands and buying companies insist the manufacturers to source components from nominated factories. So in such a scenario, I feel that Indian footwear manufacturers should insist on the buyers and influence them to nominate Indian component manufacturers. What's your take on that?
Hi, Amit. Thank you. I'd like to share my thoughts. I think I'll get started by saying first, it's not a choice. I mean, we don't, out of preference, prefer to buy out of China, and any day we would be happier to buy domestic, right? It's there are two main factors that force us to have to import. Import is more troublesome. You know, any day it's easier to buy locally. But what are the two factors? One, I'll answer the last question you asked first. Nomination has purely got to do with innovation. I mean, we are stuck with foreign companies getting nominated because they provide development support to the clients and their designers. And at the earliest stage, when the samples are being made, their samples are with the designers, with the clients, and they get selected. And once they get put into the BOM by the client, it's impossible to change them back to another source or another vendor. Despite that, we keep trying. We keep trying to tell them to nominate domestic factories. Now, the challenge that we have with the domestic factories is something, that I'd like to share with you what my experience is, and I'm part of that. I mean, I have not been able to surpass this challenge myself. We need to get to Atmanirbhar Bharat, we need to pass 3 subjects, right? All the 3 together. The problem is, यार 2 में पास हो जाते हैं तो 1 में फेल हो जाते हैं. Quality, delivery और price. Quality और price देते हैं तो delivery में फेल हो जाते हैं. Delivery और quality देते हैं तो price में फेल हो जाते हैं. और if we give the price and delivery quality में फेल हो जाते हैं. बस 3 में पास होना है इकट्ठा, और वो नहीं हो पा रहा है. 2 में हो जाते हैं, 3 में फेल हो जाते हैं. तो 3वां में, and ये ये ट्राई करते करते मुझे तो 25 साल लग गई, personally also, right? So this challenge is what we have as to prove ourselves as Atmanirbhar Bharat. We need to pass these 3 subjects all together at once.
Rishad, you are mute.
Two things we need to do. One is, innovate and get closer to the clients during innovation, during sampling stage. And the second thing is pass in all the 3 subjects so that we can graduate to the next stage. Otherwise, we are still stuck in the same class for the last 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Irshad bhai. Thank you so much. Very sharp, very interesting. And your 3 facets, your 3 formula theory, I think it's been very, very, in fact, interesting to understand. Thank you so much, sir. We need to obviously have a balance on all 3 fronts. I really appreciate. My next guest is Mr. Mukhtarul Amin, Chairman Superhouse. If I can kindly request Amin sir to please take my question, sir. Amin sir, are you there with me, sir? Mr. Mr. Amin sir.
Yes.
Amin sir, good evening to you, sir. Amin sir, you heading a wonderful big setup which is into manufacturing, exports, and even has a domestic brand. We would tend to, all of us would tend to assume that given that the whole concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat must be coming very naturally to you. And given that, I have 2 queries, and I'll go one by one. Both are equally important. First and foremost, to make this happen, to have this entire concept of Atmanirbhar get actualized on ground zero, what are the structural changes that you're proposing for the manufacturers, for you yourself, and for other fellow manufacturers? What are your thoughts on this point, sir?
I mean, why we are still importing even the complete footwear from other countries? The reason is it's those products are strong in design, cost effective, and we get a lot of choices. तो जो हमको अपनी इंडस्ट्री में करना है, जो चेंजेस करने हैं, I mean, we have to be innovative, very strong in R&D, and we have to work on the cost control. I mean, this is the time the fittest will survive. So, abhi tak, so, I mean, we were not really very careful about the innovation and the R&D. We used to get all the designs from our customers and all these things. So that things are gone. I mean, for Atmanirbhar, if you want to serve our domestic market, if you want to see that the imports are not there, I mean, just by asking the government to increase the duties on the complete footwear, then I mean, if you today we have the government has increased the duties on the Chinese products. Tomorrow the products will come from the other countries. So that's not the solution. Solution is this, that we have to improve ourselves. We have to work very strongly on the R&D side. We have to work very strongly over the cost side. और अगर हम बात करते हैं अपने छोटे मैन्युफैक्चरर्स की, तो वो इनोवेशन में, R&D में उतने स्ट्रांग नहीं है. उसमें हमको इंडस्ट्री की तरफ से और मे बी काउंसिल की तरफ से थोड़ी वर्किंग ये करनी चाहिए कि आई मीन रीजन वाइज वी शुड have design studios which we were discussing from long time, और वो self sustained design studios हों जो छोटे मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को जो अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते बाहर के डिजाइन, तो वो चीज़ें उनको अवेलेबल हों, so that we can offer variety of the product, better looking product, and then वो हमको रोक सकता है कि हम अपने आत्मनिर्भर बने और बाहर के इंपोर्ट्स को रोक सके. हमारे पास बड़ी ह्यूज मार्केट है और उस मार्केट को सर्व करने के लिए हमें ज़रूरत नहीं कि हम बाहर से इंपोर्ट करें. इवन स्पोर्ट फुटवेयर जो काफ़ी बाहर से आता था, नाउ आई वुड से 40% इज बीइंग मेड इन इंडिया. सो डे बाय डे द इंपोर्ट ऑफ स्पोर्ट फुटवेयर इज रिड्यूसिंग बिकॉज स्पोर्ट वालों ने इनोवेशन किया. दे स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन डिज़ाइन, दे स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन दिस, आई मीन ऑन द कंफर्ट, ऑन द कॉस्ट ऑल्सो. सो दीज थिंग्स वी हैव टू कीप ऑन डूइंग. तो वही हमको रोकेगा बाहर के इंपोर्ट से.
So the second part of my question is that prior to you, both Akhil sir and Dava sir have very strongly reinforced the importance of the component industry. We all know component industry is a subset of the larger footwear industry. ऐसा क्या करें and what are they expected to do that they meet your expectations? So what are going to be your thoughts and guidelines or advisory for them? At the end of the day, they need to be progressive, they need to be supportive, we need to support them, all of us put together. So how do we work as a team? Because at the end of the day, because of the competitive scenario, we want definitely international design, maybe a product, but made in India. So इसके लिए what is the right configuration framework क्या होना चाहिए sir? So your suggestion to the component industry sir.
ये ऐसा है कि मैं फिर कहूँगा कि आत्मनिर्भर हम नहीं हो सकते until unless हमारी कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री स्ट्रांग ना हो. इवन एक स्मॉल बकल अगर चाइना से आने में लेट हो जाए तो वो पूरा शिपमेंट रुक जाता है. वी नॉट बीन एबल टू सेंड द गुड्स जस्ट वेटिंग फॉर द स्मॉल बकल. तो वो हमको ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हमारी कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री स्ट्रांग हो. उसके लिए अभी तक चूंकि कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री और फुटवेयर इंडस्ट्री उतना साथ मिलकर काम नहीं कर रहे थे. We were very comfortable getting the components from China or from other sources because हमें डिज़ाइन मिल जाते थे, हमको प्राइसेस मिल जाते थे. तो हम अब अपनी लोकल कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री को उस तरह से सपोर्ट नहीं दे रहे थे जो इनफैक्ट हमको देना चाहिए था, जो लॉन्ग टर्म में हमारे लिए बेटर होता. बट आज सिनेरियो दूसरा है. आज हम आत्मनिर्भर की बात कर रहे हैं तो मैं फिर कहूँगा कि हम आत्मनिर्भर नहीं हो सकते अनटिल अनलेस हमारी कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री बड़ी स्ट्रांग हो. उसके लिए कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री के साथ मिलकर काम करना पड़ेगा. कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री को भी इनोवेशन के ऊपर भी काम करना पड़ेगा. जैसे इरशाद ने भी कही कि क्वालिटी, डिलीवरी, प्राइस, लेकिन उसके साथ साथ उसमें इनोवेशन भी चाहिए. हमें नए नए डिज़ाइन भी चाहिए, हमें नई चीज़ें भी चाहिए जो कि हम ऑफर कर सकें और हमें कोई ज़रूरत ना पड़े गोइंग बैक टू चाइना. और कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री में वी नीड मोर इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑल्सो. I mean, जैसे आइडियलाइज स्कीम में we are getting 20%, 30%. I think we should recommend government कि कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री को 50% दिया जाए, so that we have more component industry में investment. So, I mean, there are a lot of things which are still not being made in India. So, अगर इस तरह का सपोर्ट हमको मिलता है, 50% सब्सिडी मिल जाती है कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री में, so I can see there are a lot of new factories coming up और even existing factories में भी investment होंगे, innovations होंगे, and that will help long term to the component as well as finally to the footwear industry to be आत्मनिर्भर. लेकिन कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री को इनोवेशन के ऊपर काम करना पड़ेगा. दे हैव टू वर्क ऑन न्यू प्रोडक्ट्स, न्यू स्टाइलिंग, एंड दे हैव टू कीप ऑन वाचिंग कि व्हाट इज हैपनिंग अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. तो वहां से क्या लाना है और कॉपी नहीं करने के बजाय कुछ इनोवेशन भी होनी चाहिए.
थैंक यू अमीन सर. आपने जो कहा दैट वाज आई थिंक वेरी क्लियर, वेरी क्रिस्प, वेरी डिस्क्रीट ऑल्सो. But to have a conclusive sort of a discussion and also to sort of have a view on this, it is important that I also invite Mr. Ketan Sangvi now, President of the IFCOMA. Ketan sir, if you can kindly join me. You just heard Amin sir, sharing his views. और बहुत passion दिखाया, बहुत interest दिखाया, and all the panelists up until now are very very keen that we have a very strong indigenous Indian component industry. Given that, how do you read the views of Amin sir, and what are your thoughts on having a very very sort of a collaborative effort, a very active live wire collaboration with the footwear industry in toto? आप क्या कहेंगे sir? What are your thoughts on it?
As regarding price, I would say cost of everything in India is very high, so we will definitely need some government support. Also, as Aminji has said about IDLS, it's a very very good move if it can be possible, because investment in technology, investment in new machinery is extremely high. Regarding deliveries, yes, we will have to expand our capacity, as I said in my speech, expand as well as rationalize. But that will come when there is a stability of orders. And regarding quality, the future is about digital designs, data files, which some of our shoe factories in India are already adapting to. I would like to, if you don't mind, can I touch one subject about nomination, if you don't mind? Hello? Hello? Are you here?
Please continue, sir.
Sorry. So, all this can happen if the foreign brands, they start nominating us in Indian components instead of the ones abroad. Now, why does a brand or shoemaker prefer to buy from a nominated supplier anywhere? Simply because the brand is assured of the quality and the shoemaker doesn't have to worry about supplies, be it quality or delivery or price. I would like to give you a very classic example in my company. Deichmann nominated Sangvi many years ago because we were able to bring in the latest CNC machines at that time. Wolverine also nominated us for our in-depth knowledge of glass making vis-a-vis shoe making. Thanks to their trust in us, we have grown multiple fold with their blessings. Today, we possess the latest CNC machines and software. So this is, according to me, the way ahead for all of us, all the component makers. The technology is what is going to ultimately drive all of us. Another thing is about IP protection. So we design something, we develop something, and somebody else copies. So that is something also that needs to be taken care of. I hope I have answered the questions satisfactorily.
Yes, Ketanji, and we'll have more on this going forward. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ketanji. Thank you so much. My next guest is Mr. V. Muthukumaran. Can I have Mr. Muthukumaran, please?
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Vikas.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Welcome one more time. Welcome again, sir. Mr. Muthukumaran, Mr. Muthukumaran is the president of the ISF, and we're happy to host him today. So my point here is it's a twofold question. In fact, the fact of the matter is that on one end, in the short to medium term, there is likely to be some bit of shortage in the raw material, even machinery to make footwear and the components, given the situation that we have on the geopolitical side. That being said, on the other hand, we've also heard stories and reports of businesses, whatever businesses have shifted out of China, and some of these businesses from China have shifted to the neighboring countries in Southeast Asia. We have reports of such businesses going to smaller countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, and even Bangladesh for that matter. Now, given that, and given those dynamics, it's going to impact the overall production, the share of production as far as India goes, and could also in some ways impact the global share of exports that India does, out of India to different countries. So it's a double whammy. How do we address these twin challenges given the scenario, sir? How do we bridge the gap? What are your thoughts on it?
Thank you, Vikas. Um, Actually, first I'd like to thank CLE and Shoe and Accessories for organizing this webinar. And Atmanirbhar, it's a very, very important subject, what is going around. And we are happy that the entire industry is connected today. And your question is a very, very vital thing. I feel that India, we are the second largest footwear producer of India after China, and opportunities are there now. Post COVID, a lot of brands are looking at the opportunities to reduce their dependency and spread the risk, reduce the risk. So I think after China, we are there as a second largest producer, and but still there is a huge gap in terms of numbers between us and China, and definitely that's going to be spread of business across, maybe going to Vietnam or Cambodia or to Taiwan or other countries, but large scope opportunity we have in India. And as a country, if you see, we are technologically very strong. We are strong in the IT systems, and if you take certain industries like automobile industries, they are doing very well. In fact, components, I think India is exporting a lot of automobile components to many other countries. So we should look at using the technology, how we can make the components not only for catering to serve our footwear manufacturers or other products manufacturer. Also, we should look at the options of exporting components. Going forward in the next couple of years, we should look at together and work together as a team. It's a three-way between the product manufacturers, customers, and the component manufacturer. I think nomination, as Mr. Ketan said, so we have to look at why the nominations are being given to the suppliers. I think they are doing something which is proactive things. Season wise, we work and we have to collect our catalogs, give the information to the customers, and we have everything available. India, leather. We are importing leathers. We are importing lining. We are importing zips. We are importing outsoles. We still have a lot of things manufacturing, but the quantum of import we can reduce if we really work proactively, probably a season before, to give these trends and forecasts, what we are getting from the industry. Based on that, develop the catalogs and share it with the customers before they start the design. And once we have that, but like Mr. Richard said also, we'll have to work on the top three subjects: the quality, delivery, on the price. And biggest thing post COVID, it's going to be the lead time. Lead time is going to be a big challenge, whether it's a footwear manufacturer or a component manufacturer. We have to speed the way of working. Probably again, putting some technology, putting some automation. Like Mr. Sangvi said, we should get a latest upgraded, whatever is possible. Today, those days, we had a longer lead time, and customers were happy to place orders 6 months before and wait for a delivery. But today, and with the change after the pandemic, also a lot of e-commerce, online sales is happening, and based on the trend, they want all the repeat orders to be fulfilled in shorter lead time. So we have to gear up ourselves, all the Indian manufacturing, not only components, also the shoemakers. We'll have to look at the speed to the market, and we'll have to ensure that once we have all the components available locally, I think together along with the footwear manufacturers, we can, all the stakeholders, I would like to repeat again: customer, footwear manufacturers, and the components manufacturers. We have to work together, and there is a lot of scope that even if we grow 10% year on year, that's going to be a big number. And with this Atmanirbhar, I think we should be self-reliant to ensure that we should not worry about the problems. We are going to live with the problems. We should look at the opportunities. Maybe we should take all the challenges which we are going to face, convert those into the opportunities, and take our country to the next level. Thank you.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. The industry needs to take cues from what Mr. Mecca said, and we must look at exporting rather than importing components. I would move on to Mr. Sandeep Kataria, CEO Bata India. In the long term, sir, the sector needs technological acquisitions, capacity expansions. This can be achieved by establishing partnerships between stakeholders at all levels. What would you advise to the footwear manufacturers and component suppliers on the best practices to be followed to make Atmanirbhar policy work well?
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for a good question, and thank you for inviting me to this panel. As Bata, we've of course produced in India for over 85 years, very high quality product, a lot of respect for the production that we have in our 4 factories, but also about 100 partners that we work with in India. So I'm actually very confident about the products that we produce and sell in India. But when I go out and talk to my other countries, Bata we sell in 51 countries, and I go and ask them कि आप India से क्यों नहीं ज़्यादा लेते हैं? We do export from India about 3-4 million pairs, but why not more? There are 2 answers which come back, and they come from 2 diverse spectrum, and I want to talk about both. One is what they end up importing from China. Yeah, we all know China. Yes, there is a cost advantage. They manage to get it at a low cost. But actually, the other thing which I hear very often from them is actually ability to innovate and technology adoption that they get from China. The newness, and they say we get those from India. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो India से बाद में नहीं मिलेगा. But we typically see that coming out of India in about 9 months to a year later. So 2 seasons typically later out of India when we compare to China. And therefore, a challenge for us is to say how we can lead some of this innovation rather than following a season or 2 later. The other one, and which has been my bigger challenge actually, why in the top 10 exporters, if you see in the world, you have people like Italy and Brazil in there, which are high cost exporters. They're not low cost. Why are we not able to do better than them? And when I go back and ask them, because I think when we produce, when I go to a lot of our partners, especially in leather, in Ambur, etc., or in Agra, we get some very good quality for the value that we are charging. And they come back and say in their own words, and I interpret in Hindi, ये थोड़ा सा जो आपका चलता है attitude है ना, that is what catches you. Yeah, you end up doing well. We know you can deliver it. You will deliver it at 70% of the time, but 30% of the time, it does feel like you've either been in a hurry or the quality parameters have let you down. You're not able to consistently deliver on the quality that we actually expect when we are paying top dollar. So their view is it's not about cost on this spectrum. Yeah, and I'm talking about high quality leather finished products, whether it's for men or for ladies. And this is where they push back. So my challenge to us is, how can we approach this in a different manner now and say we will not accept. We will not accept anything but the best quality. Let's start first with the domestic market. Exporters will figure out. They come in, they all visit India, they all see it around. And can we make sure that we get the consistency in our quality? Can we get success completely established in our all our partners? How can we make sure that we deliver on that? Thanks, Amit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I hope the industry takes a note of that, especially the component industry. I'll move on to Mr. Nitish Kumar, CEO Reliance Footprints, who's with us today. Nitish, a lot's happening in the market. Future Group's future may rest with Reliance Industries, it seems. Reliance has become you have big retail plans coupled with strong digital plans. So it seems in the next few years, we would be all Reliance Nirbhar rather than Atmanirbhar. What are your thoughts on Atmanirbhar? Would you be incentivizing the production facilities for Reliance Footwear and Trend Footwear? Your thoughts?
Amit, yeah. Hi, Amit. Amit, definitely we are with this word Atmanirbhar. As a company, we decided not to import a single pair of shoes from China going future. But saying so, it's not easy. It's going to take a little tough time for my buyers, my team. When I said to my team that we are not going to import anything, whatever we want to do, we have to do in India. So I can make out from the faces of my team that it was not easy for them. But definitely whole fraternity is here. Everybody is here. And what I need help, what we can do together, we can discuss for sure. When I'm hearing all of you, I'm just understanding two things. That definitely the India can become a global sourcing place going future. But first of all, we should look at what Indian retailers need. Why I have to go to somewhere else and import product? So a lot of people are here who are in manufacturing. Some of them are talking to us. One question you asked with Irshad Bhai, that why he is very successful or his factory is successful. Before COVID, I went to his factory. He showed me his plans for making product domestic. So I was very impressed with his plans. He started new factory, new location, new everything, and he want to dedicate the whole place to the domestic manufacturing. So lot of factories we are now touching. If you go to become an Atmanirbhar, I want to make shoes here. If I go to Brickwise, definitely I am facing the biggest trouble is in sports category. What I'm seeing. So good factories, when I talk, the QC, price, delivery, definitely something stuck, as Irshad Bhai said. Good factories talk about LOH, that my labor overheads is minimum is this. But we should not forget that company like India, where lot of value product sales. And if good factories are not going to provide us the good mold, good product. Simple, I am telling you, sometimes we are forced to make simple TPA, EVA mold we are forced to import, which can be simply done in India.
So, okay, sorry, I'd like to cut you out here. Like we have problems of international buyers nominating component suppliers. How about Indian brands, Indian companies nominating, making sure that the product used in the footwear or whatever product is also the component is also made in India?
Yeah, so going future, when I'm talking to factory, the biggest problem is coming in 2-3 things. One is definitely a PU. A good PU supplies are limited in India, and every PU comes from China. So I don't know what Akhil Bhai or industry or government is trying to do. Are we going to develop a PU manufacturing units in India? That is a huge opportunity. So a lot of factories are telling, okay, we are ready to import components from outside, and then we can make full shoes here, which is not going to be useful in future, Amit. So component in something in terms of mold, in terms of upper, in terms of PU is going to miss. So we have to talk very strongly on this component part, that even you make factories, molds are coming from outside. So what we are, especially in the sports category, if you ask me,
Let me get an opinion from the component sector, what you mentioned. Let me invite Mr. Manoj Agarwal and Arvind Suneja. Let me have their views on the component. Like we all believe that it's time that the industry, component industry, and the buying manufacturing industry, they start to believe in each other, show faith in each other. We all need to have strong relationships now, partnerships. We probably need to rebuild mutual trust, which seems to have been lost over the past years. The component industry must understand the apprehensions of the shoemakers concerning quality, technology, capacity, capability, most importantly, timelines now. So, Mr. Manoj, what is your opinion? How do you propose we could overcome these problems?
As Akhil Saab and Dawar Saab has rightly mentioned in the beginning of webinar, what we are missing is the partnership approach to our business. Because if I remember, the component industry started in India about 20 years ago with a major initiative of FDDI, and at that time, chairman of FDDI, Mr. Amrendra Sinha, took a big initiative to develop the component industry in India. After that, somehow the industry could not keep up the pace with the expectation of the buyers and foreign buyers in the market. So what the main reason which I see is that we were limited to a relationship of a customer and a supplier. There was never an approach of developing things in a partnered way. If we could have developed, because if I take the case of, for example, Maruti came to India. When they started production in India, they put a lot of emphasis on vendor development, training their vendors, meeting their quality expectations, delivery expectations, every cost expectations. Everything was developed in hand to hand. They worked like a team. So that this kind of approach is required in our industry so that we can move forward. There is a trust deficit, which we have rightly said. From the shoe manufacturer side, there is a deficit on the capability, quality, cost, delivery, which Irshad Bhai has mentioned. On the component side, there is always a deficit. We all feel that we don't get enough transparency on our business, regularity of orders, commercial issues, etc. So I think this is a high time, and we have got this platform that all of us now have to join together and work in the spirit to really work together and make this Atmanirbhar industry.
Right. I guess that's the right word. We all need to work together so that the local component suppliers can rebuild, strengthen the relationships.
And it is also possible that if we develop in few years, we will be able to export the components also.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. My next guest is Mr. Inder Musafir, MD ID Shoes. Mr. Musafir, sir, are you there with me, sir?
Yeah, I'm here. Guys, go on.
Yeah. So this whole concept of Atmanirbharta or Atmanirbhar Bharat, at the end of the day, it's not a diktat. I mean, there's no danda per se. And don't you think it requires more of a cultural shift, just not a technological bit of it? Well, there has to be change in behaviors. We've seen you speaking very passionately at so many forums, and even with your associates, wherein you've spoken about, make in India, you've spoken about local production, promoting local production. Given that, and given the heightened pitch for Atmanirbharta now, how do you think this entire concept in word and spirit really getting settled across the entire value chain, sir? Your thoughts on it, sir?
So, what is Atmanirbhar Bharat? I mean, we need to understand the idea is to make this great country of India self-reliant. In my opinion, as a nation, we have forgotten to take pride in what we make. I think, this whole foreign overhang, ke foreign hai to acha hoga, we might be paying top dollars to buy a shirt somewhere in other part of the world, and we come back home and see that it's actually made in India. So why cannot we take pride in our own thing? And that's where I think we are missing out on the whole thing. And this cannot happen as an individual. It cannot be an act of an individual. It has to be Atmanirbhar Bharat has to be happen with a teamwork. It cannot be. It's a teamwork of everybody believing in the thing that yes, we can do it. Yes, our component suppliers, our partners in the business, everybody can do it. We must infuse that trust in them that yes, go ahead and do it. We are backing you up. As a brand, we need to back people up for this. In a recent conversation with the Honorable, Commerce Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, a thing came up that we import lakhs and crores of shoes. He actually turned around and said that what if I ban all the import of finished shoes? So I immediately turned around and said, why not? He says, are you sure you guys can make it? I said, give us a chance. I mean, the fact is that if you take a step like that, then we will be able to match it. That the demand of India itself is so much that we are importing lakhs and crores of shoes from China or other places. Why are we doing this? I don't understand. Whereas we are saying that our factories are lying vacant, we need more production. Why do we need to import at all? So, in fact, I am a very firm supporter of the fact. In fact, the government has actually taken this step. If I don't know if people know that in some of the other industries, like the tire industry, recently we came to know about that they actually have banned imports of tires unless the industry itself says that, okay, this is something that we cannot make, then the government gives a license to import those particular sizes of tires. I mean, why not in India also something like that about footwear? That if we can actually ban the footwear and say that we're going to make everything in India, then Atmanirbhar Bharat itself comes into play. When we are not given a choice of importing anything, whether it is components or start with finished shoes, go on to components, it has to then eventually support the local industry. That's what my take on this. Personally, as a company, it's been now 5 years that we haven't imported any footwear from anywhere in the world, for that matter. China per se, because mostly the shoes were coming in from China. But I don't see that we're missing out on anything. We've worked with our component suppliers, we've developed things with them, and come up with the solutions within India. So everything is over here. But the government support, no doubt, we have to go to them. We have to reach out to them. Even the GST matter has been a very long drawn thing. I mean, when I asked the question to the government that why the GST is such a high rate of tax for footwear, they said because chalta hua aa raha hai, so we're just continuing with it. प्रॉब्लम यही है कि हमारे आपस में ही एक एका नहीं है. कोई कहता है 5 करो, कोई कहता है 12 करो, कोई कहता है 18 करो. We ourselves can't decide what should be the correct rate, and which is why we are getting this whole thing that traditionally the excise duty was high, and now the GST has become the highest slab. Tomorrow the 5% will anyway go, and when the 5% goes and the slabs are raised, believe me, footwear will land up at 24%. What are we going to do then? So we have to push the government that they need to also walk the talk. If they're saying Atmanirbhar Bharat, they also need to act in that manner. And similarly, we as an industry have to also walk the talk. We as a brand, we pledged that we will not import. We are working with component manufacturers to come forward to us and work with us, and we are more than happy to support them.
So what you're really stressing is that all in all, it's a doable thing, absolutely doable.
100%. Why not? Everything is doable. Yeah. If we make up a mind to do it, why cannot we do it? Like I said, that we were importing shoes throughout, and now today we are not importing anything since 5 years.
Right.
I
Thank you,
must
sir. Really,
admit, by far is one of the most motivating vocal for local champion.
I've always been like that.
Thank you. So moving
In
on.
fact, in fact, I have a experience to share. You know, in one of the recent webinars, I was also, it was a a SIFI platform that I said that anybody, any component manufacturer, if they want to reach out to me to say that they have something that they can make and I can use, then please reach out. And Mr. Rajesh Pudar of Topline, I think is the brand, they make PU material. Next day, I got an email from him. During lockdown, he very proactively, we did sampling with him. Mind you, as a company, we never have made PU shoes. We have been only making leather shoes. But with his enthusiasm to reach out to say that, sir, आप हमारा PU material देखो, हम अच्छा बनाते हैं. Why don't you try it out? And I'm so proud of the fact that with his help and obviously my team, within lockdown, we've created a complete range of PU footwear, non-leather footwear, which will be very proudly presenting to our buyers, and some of them are on this platform. And I would appreciate, I would really, kudos to him that he made that effort. So this is a two-way process. Component manufacturers need to push us also that we can do this, and we have to support them. So it has to be a teamwork, as I said.
Right. Thank you so much. I would now move on to one of the biggest concerns of the industry. Chances are the webinar might end here only after this because of the responses. The issue of financial discipline. The industry needs a financial commitment and security. So I would like Mr. Davar and Mr. Sudhir Rastogi to, kind of address this concern. Lately, we learned that the government, the Prime Minister has instructed to clear all MSME dues within 45 days. Though we understand it's a business call, but it's a major pain point, an irregular payment cycle. The component industry says that the importers or manufacturers are willing to pay upfront advance to overseas suppliers, but hold the payments of local vendors. Whereas the manufacturers feel that there is no payment policy, there is no set standard. So I wonder, how about the stakeholders of the sector, the representative bodies to play a role in that, create a forum, formulate a standard policy. Either people adhere to the PO agreements, or else there is some kind of a forum. So all vendors are paid in a stipulated time frame of 45 days or 60 days, or whatever is decided on. This is a very sensitive issue. Davar Saab?
Sir, this is a very important point. थोड़ा सा बदलना होगा कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को भी और हमको अपनी प्रोडक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को भी अपनी हैबिट्स में. कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को अपनी सोच माइक्रो से बदल करके मैक्रो पर लानी है. R&D में इन्वेस्ट करना है, उनकी अपनी रिलायबिलिटी अपने ऊपर फेद हमारे ऊपर बढ़ानी है. R&D में इन्वेस्ट करने का कोई ऐसा रीजन नहीं है कि वो ना कर पाए. वी आर स्टिल द सेकंड लार्जेस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरर. We are still 130 crores of the population. Our scale starts from 130 crores. So there is no reason to invest. And when they are important for us, and then we believe in them, and then everybody have to pay. तो मैं आज इस फोरम पर स्पष्ट कहना चाहता हूँ कि मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को ये सोचना पड़ेगा, उनको एक तराजू रखनी होगी. इंपोर्ट पर जो तराजू रखते हैं वही तराजू लोकल के लिए रखनी होगी. मैंने पहले भी कहा था कि जब हम इंपोर्ट के लिए एलसी खोल सकते हैं तो हमको लोकल के लिए भी एलसी खोलनी चाहिए, टाइम पर पेमेंट देना चाहिए. जहां तक एमएसएमई के 45 डेज का इसकी बात है कि देयर आर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ लॉस, लेकिन लॉ का प्रयोग तभी होता है, वी यूज ओनली द लॉ ओनली व्हेन देयर इज ए कि देयर इज नो रिस्पॉन्स एट ऑल पेबल. व्हेन एबल की जब बात आ जाती है तब उसको जाना मजबूरी होता है. मैं चाहता हूं कि ये लॉ जरूर होना चाहिए. वैसे इट इज ऑल बिटवीन द एग्रीमेंट विद द सप्लायर एंड द बायर. इट मे बी 90 days, इट मे बी 120 days, इट मे बी 150 days, But even in the same the period, that particular period what we agreed upon, if we don't pay in that, the supplier must have the right to go to the MSME forum and to get this payment for after 45 days. We have to have the fiscal discipline in all cases. इट्स बोथ साइड, दोनों की तराजू एक ही होनी है. सप्लायर को भी ये सोचना है कि वो डिलीवरी टाइम पर दे, वो क्वालिटी एज पर सैंपल दे, उसको इंस्पेक्शंस अपने प्री इंस्पेक्शन अलाउ करे, और ऑन डॉट डिलीवरी होना बहुत जरूरी है. डिलीवरी 2 दिन पहले देने की सोचे बजाय 2 दिन बाद देने के. डिलेज होंगे, और डिलेज में अगर मैं सफर रहूंगा तो नेचुरली व्हेन सफर देयर विल बी ऑलवेज देयर विल बी डिफॉल्ट.
मैंने डावर साहब का सुना और सभी का, और जो डावर साहब ने बात कही है वो 100% सही है. एंड यही हम लोगों का मेजर इशू है रादर, कि एक्चुअली जो डेवलपमेंट है या जो सप्लाईज हैं सब हैं, वो मेजर इशू घूम के वहीं आता है कि जब हम लोगों को पेमेंट नहीं मिलता है. एंड देयर आर नंबर ऑफ केसेस, not to talk of specific companies, where the payment is we are getting in 10 months. Now if you calculate the interest on 10 months, so naturally what we are supplying to you is already a discount. So 10% if you reduce the price, you are getting a price which is equal to Chinese price. So and then another thing is कि आपने जैसे बोला अभी डावर साहब ने भी कि हम लोग जब भी पेमेंट्स की बात करते हैं तो ये बात आती है कि कंपोनेंट की डिलीवरी टाइम पे नहीं आती है. Now कंपोनेंट की डिलीवरी मैं कहता हूँ वी आर रेडी टू हैव ए LD क्लॉज लाइक इन अदर इंडस्ट्री भी होता है. एंड रेस्ट, और एज फार एज पेमेंट्स आर कंसर्न, आई थिंक दिस इज द व्हाट डावर साहब हैज ऑलरेडी सेड, सो आई डोंट नीड टू से एनी मोर. और बाकी तो इंटरेक्शंस आपस में हम लोगों के बढ़े हैं तो इंडस्ट्री के वी ऑलवेज टॉक ऑन नेगेटिव. इफ यू हैव मोर इंटरेक्शंस लाइक दिस, आई थिंक वी कैन सॉल्व इट एंड वी कैन गो टुवर्ड्स मेकिंग इंडिया आत्मनिर्भर.
रस्तोगी साहब अपने ऊपर निर्भर बनाइए, हमको बनाइए तो अपने आप पेमेंट घर में देने आएगा.
हाँ, तो हम लोग तो तैयार हैं साहब, लेकिन अभी
आप निर्भर बनाइए ना, आप कंपोनेंट वो बनाइए, वो क्वालिटी बनाइए, वो बनाइए और टाइम पे डिलीवर करिए, मैं आपके घर में देने आएगा सप्लायर पैसे.
ठीक है, राइट, एब्सोल्युटली एग्री.
Sir, thank you very much. I think we need to do another forum probably only on this subject. But let's hope the industry works together, because going ahead we have to be together. I would like to have Mr. R.K. Gupta next, because I believe non-leather footwear is the future of shoes. Today also it's estimated that 80-85% of the world footwear is non-leather. The Indian non-leather footwear industry is dependent on China for the components. Rajkumar ji?
नमस्कार जी.
Sir, आप एक मल्टी स्पेशलिटी हॉस्पिटल भी है आपका. तो पिछले दिनों में न्यूज में पढ़ रहा था कि इंडियन फार्मा इंडस्ट्री का 80% रॉ मटेरियल इंपोर्ट होता है, APIs फ्रॉम चाइना, एक्टिव फार्मास्यूटिकल इंग्रेडिएंट.
जी.
अब रिसेंटली इंडियन कंपनीज आफ्टर दिस इंडिया चाइना स्टैंड ऑफ, they've decided कि उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट दिया था कि वो इंडियन सप्लायर सारा जो इंपोर्ट है बंद करके इंडियन सप्लायर्स पे स्विच कर देंगे, इवन फॉर द फैक्ट दैट इंडियन मटेरियल 20% ज्यादा महंगा पड़ता है. क्या आई डोंट नो, क्या हम ये फुटवेयर इंडस्ट्री के लिए भी ऐसा डिसीजन ले सकते हैं? आपके ओपिनियन में कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री को कैसे आगे लेके जाना चाहिए? Should we
नमस्कार, गुड इवनिंग टू एवरीबॉडी. देखिए क्या 2 चीजें हैं कि मैं इटली जाता था और इटली यूज्ड टू बी अ मक्का ऑफ मशीन्स. चाइना वालों ने वहाँ से मशीनें के सैंपल्स उठा करके वो 5 मॉडल बनाते थे, उन्होंने 150 मॉडल बनाने शुरू किए और उनके जो रेट्स थे वो ऑलमोस्ट 20% ऑफ द इटालियन मशीन्स. उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ कि हर एक छोटी फैक्ट्री वालों अच्छी क्वालिटी की वहाँ पे मशीन मिलना शुरू हो गया. धीरे धीरे इटली मशीन सेगमेंट से बाहर होता चला गया और चाइना उसको ओवरटेक करता हुआ चला गया. आज की डेट में इंडिया में जितनी भी मशीनें आती हैं 90% ऑफ देम आर कमिंग फ्रॉम चाइना. और आज इंडिया की फुटवेयर इंडस्ट्री बिना चाइनीज मशीनों के काम चल नहीं सकता है. हम चाइना को कितना खराब कहें, कुछ भी कहें, 3 साल अगर इंडिया में चाइनीज मशीन अभी नहीं आती है तो हमारी कोई प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी नहीं बढ़ सकती है, क्योंकि इटालियन मशीनें कम से कम 5 गुना कॉस्टली है, जर्मन मशीनें 5 गुना कॉस्टली है, एंड वी कैन नॉट अफोर्ड इट। अब ये कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने के लिए हमारे को सबसे पहले मशीनरी की अवेलेबिलिटी कैसे बढ़िया करवानी है, उसके लिए अगर सरकार से हम बात करें कि 100 एकड़ का 150 एकड़ का प्री फैब्रिकेटेड एक फुटवेयर मशीनरी हब बनाया जाए, और जो भी बाहर की मशीन बनाने वाले हैं, मोस्टली पीपल इन चाइना आर फ्रॉम ताइवान आल्सो, and even we can call the Italian people also to come here. We'll provide ready-made shed on the rental basis to them. So we have to provide a system so that, and all the components which are coming for the machinery will be duty free, so that they are in a position to give at the same price the machine which they are selling from China. जब तक हमारा मशीनरी का ये सेगमेंट स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं होगा तो हम शायद उसमें आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे। नंबर 2, एक पॉइंट मेरा है डीम्ड एमएसएमई। आज क्या है कि छोटी छोटी फैक्ट्री, आप मान लो कि जैसे डावर साहब आगरा से हैं, आगरा में कम से कम 5000 फैक्ट्री ऐसी होंगी कि जो बहुत छोटे छोटे लोग हैं, उनको एक्सपोर्ट का ई वर्ड भी नहीं आता है। अब उसमें से ऑर्गेनाइज वर्किंग होकर के आज उसमें कोई भी एक ट्रेडर माल खरीद करके बेचता है, उसको जो ऑर्गेनाइज वालों को 5% डिस्काउंट मिल जाता है, सरकार से रिफंड मिल जाता है, वो उनको नहीं मिलता है। तो हमें सरकार के साथ बैठ करके एक ऐसा रास्ता निकालना होगा ताकि हम बाहर अच्छा माल भी दे सकें, सस्ता भी दे सकें। वो चाइना ने क्या किया हुआ है, चाइना ने रिकॉग्नाइज किया हुआ है ट्रेडर्स को, ये जस्ट लाइक डीम्ड एमएसएमई हो गया, उनको भी वो एज ए मैन्युफैक्चरर ही समझते हैं, और जो भी बेनिफिट्स मैन्युफैक्चरर को मिलता है वो ट्रेडर को भी मिलता है इन द सेम लेटर एंड स्पिरिट। तो उससे क्या कि हमारी आत्मनिर्भरता बढ़ेगी कि वो छोटी छोटी फैक्ट्री वाले वो और अच्छा माल बना करके देंगे, और हमारी क्वालिटी भी चलेगी और हमारा माल भी बिकेगा। ये 2 चीज़ें ऐसी हैं, एक डीम्ड एमएसएमई, एक आपका हब ऑफ मशीनरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग। बाकी सब चीज़ें हम सभी साथियों ने डिस्कस की है रिगार्डिंग प्राइसिंग और एवरीथिंग। ये सारी चीज़ें आज हमारी कमी क्या है इंडिया में, वी आर टू फॉलो चाइना, कि चाइना का वर्किंग मॉडल क्या है। आज वहाँ पे मैं किसी को मिट्टी का माल का ऑर्डर देने जाता हूँ 1 कंटेनर का, वो अपने उसमें डालता है बीओक्यू में, उसकी लिस्ट निकल आती है, और विद इन 4 days all the raw materials are available at his doorstep. Within 10 days he will convert it, and within 20 days he will give the container. तो हमारे को एज CLE एज CFI we have to understand, we have to come to a conclusion कि होलसेल मार्केट की प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है। जब तक हम होलसेल मार्केट की प्रॉब्लम्स को समझ करके उसको रिजॉल्व नहीं करेंगे, तब तक कभी भी इन टाइम सिमिलरली डीम्ड एमएसएम मेथड मशीनरी के लिए हमें करना ही होगा। एक पॉइंट क्या है हमारे यहाँ पे, आज किसी भी इंडस्ट्री की एक स्पोर्ट्स शू मैन्युफैक्चर है, he works only for 6 months, for other 6 months is free. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, स्पोर्ट्स शू की सेल हमारे इंडिया में चालू होती है जाकर के सितंबर में, इधर फरवरी, मार्च, अप्रैल, मई, जून 6 महीने वो 15% कैपेसिटी पे, 0% कैपेसिटी पे और मैक्सिमम 25% कैपेसिटी पे काम करते हैं। हम कोई ना कोई एक ऐसा सिस्टम डेवलप करें कि हम वो टाइम the other countries are reverse to us, इस टाइम तो ये बहुत अच्छी सेल निकलेगी। इसके लिए जो भी ऑर्गेनाइज प्लेयर्स हैं, मान लो रिलायंस है, या हम कोई कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी बनाते हैं जिसका कि एक्सपेंस सरकार दे, और हम वो प्रोडक्ट्स उन कंपनियों के वहाँ पे ढंग से प्रेजेंट करके उनके लिए ऑर्डर ला सके, क्योंकि वो छोटे लोग हैं, दे डोंट हैव टाइम, उनको गर्मियों में गर्मी का माल बनाना है, सर्दियों में सर्दी का माल बनाना है, एंड दे आर बिजी इन देयर ओन वर्क। तो अगर रियल में इंडिया को आत्मनिर्भर होना है तो हमें इन 3-4 चीज़ों को देखना है, यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी, टीम्ड MSME, डेवलपमेंट ऑफ मशीनरी एस्टेब्लिशमेंट, तो उससे अपने आप ही आत्मनिर्भर भारत होता हुआ चला जाएगा। जैसे कि सोल में हुआ, आपस में हुआ, काफ़ी चीज़ों में हम आत्मनिर्भर हुए हैं, ऐसे हम नहीं कह सकते हम आत्मनिर्भर नहीं हुए हैं। जहाँ तक पीयू का सवाल है, पीयू में कुछ एक व्यक्ति से बात करके, इवन एट CP स्टेज, एट CLE स्टेज, कि हम कुछ लोगों को यहाँ पर लेकर के आए अलोंग विद ट्रांसफर ऑफ मशीनरी, ताकि उनके यहाँ पे काम नहीं है, कुछ एक प्लान मशीनरी को वहाँ से एज सच यहाँ ट्रांसफर करवा करके हम पीयू की अपनी प्रोडक्शन यहाँ बढ़वाएं। उससे क्या कि हमारी कैपेसिटी माल बनाने की अच्छी हो जाएगी। और इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है कि अगर हमारा इंपोर्ट नहीं बंद होता है तो कितना भी हम कुछ करें हम आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे।
Right.
तो
Right, sir.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
Thank you. I think that's quite an insight.
हेलो
हेलो
जी सर, थैंक यू सो मच राजकुमार जी, थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
My next guest is Mr. Vipin Seth, Vice President IFCOMA. Vipin sir, आप हैं? Vipin sir, can I have you please?
Yes sir. Yeah,
हाँ जी,
tell me.
हाँ जी विपिन जी, आपने पूरी डेलिब्रेशन सुनी अब तक फ्रॉम ऑल द एसोसिएट्स, इफकोमा की वॉइस, फुटवेयर इंडस्ट्री की वॉइस, इंडस्ट्री लीडर, सब की बात आपने सुनी है। एंड आई एम श्योर ऑल द पैनलिस्ट वुड बी वेरी कीन जानने के लिए कि इफकोमा का पर से एक 5-year विजन प्लान क्या है, नेक्स्ट 5 years गिवन द सिचुएशन एंड सर्कमस्टांसेस, कैसे अपग्रेड करेंगे, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स भी हैं, एक्टिविटीज़ भी हैं, फोकस भी है। सो 5-year विजन अगर आप ब्रीफ में प्लीज शेयर करें सर।
सर, बनाने में मेरा एक रिक्वेस्ट था, पहले भी है, कि कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री का एक सर्वे होना चाहिए और उस सर्वे में हमें ये पता लगना चाहिए कि हम क्या क्या चीज़ें इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, कितनी कितनी कर रहे हैं, और उसमें हम इंडिया का में उसको कैसे बढ़ा सकते हैं। अब कंपोनेंट इंडस्ट्री का एक बार सर्वे हो जाए तो आई थिंक इफकोमा वाले जो है, हमारे पास 250 मेंबर है, क्योंकि आत्मनिर्भर जो है वो 1 साल में तो नहीं होगा, इसको लगेंगे 2 या 5 साल लग सकते हैं। तो हमें एक स्टेजेस में काम करना पड़ेगा कि फर्स्ट स्टेज जो है हम 2 सालों में कवर करें, दूसरी स्टेज हम फिर 2 सालों में ख़त्म करें, और एक 5 सालों का एक प्लान बनाएं। तो 5 सालों के प्लान के अंदर हमें बहुत कुछ चाहिए, क्योंकि ये जैसे या हमारी डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्री का विजन है कि लेके जाना चाहते हैं, और डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्री जो है 12 से 20 लेके जाना चाहती है 2022 तक। तो डेफिनेटली कंपोनेंट तो चाहिए ही होंगे। तो कंपोनेंट जो चाहिए है तो हमें हैंड टू हैंड कॉपरेशन के साथ, पार्टनरशिप के साथ, फुटवेयर इंडस्ट्री के साथ काम करना चाहिए। उसके लिए कुछ दिक्कतें हैं, कहाँ दिक्कतें हैं वो हमें और हमारे जो और पार्टनर्स हैं शू इंडस्ट्री के, उनको भी शेयर करना पड़ेगा कि ये हमारी दिक्कतें हैं। कुछ दिक्कतें तो ऑलरेडी लिस्टेड हो गई हैं मेरा ख्याल है। और दूसरा क्या है कि हम कंपोनेंट के हब भी बनाए। अभी तक हब जो है ज्यादातर नॉर्थ में है और कुछ थोड़े साउथ में है। मोर हब्स कैन बी क्रिएटेड इन ईस्टर्न रीजन आल्सो, और उसके साथ साथ इधर आप केरला साइड में चले जाइए, वहाँ भी हब बन जाने चाहिए, क्योंकि नॉन लेदर इंडस्ट्री वहाँ पे भी इंक्रीज हो गई। तो अभी ये सारे लोग कह रहे हैं, आई एम वेरी हैप्पी कि बाटा, रिलैक्सो, लिबर्टी, ये सब लोग कह रहे हैं कि हम इंपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे। बड़ी अच्छी बात है। हमारे लिए एक चैलेंज आ गया है, एक चैलेंज है विच वी हैव टू एक्सेप्ट इट, द कंपाउंड इंडस्ट्री हैव टू एक्सेप्ट इट, और हम एक्सेप्ट करते हैं। इंक्रीज प्रोडक्शन ऑफ, इरशाद जी ने कहा प्राइसिंग, क्वालिटी और डिलीवरीज, बिल्कुल ये तीनों टेस्ट है। हम यदि रिटर्न में फेल हो जाएंगे, वाइवा और इंटरनल असेसमेंट से कहीं ना कहीं तो पास हो ही जाएंगे। तो डेफिनेटली हमें ये ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा। तो अभी इंडस्ट्री की स्केल है कोई 12,000 14,000 करोड़ रुपए की इंडस्ट्री है। और राजकुमार जी ने भी कहा और लोगों ने भी कहा कि पीयू का जो प्लांट्स हैं अभी नहीं आए, टॉप साल पहले आया था, म्यूर वाले भी लेके आ रहे हैं। और डेफिनेटली ये जो नॉन लेदर का की पीयू के ऊपर ये बड़े 2 इयर्स मेरा ख्याल ये खत्म हो जाएगी। जब 2-3 टॉप, तो मेरा ख्याल है कि we will create a will do much as per the expectation of the industry.
Thank you, Vipinji. Let me take the same thing forward, what you just said. Let me come to another purely homegrown retail brands. Let's get their opinion. Mr. Rafiq Malik is here with us. So it has taken border closures and lockdown of billions of people for the nation, for the notion of local. Local has been devalued for decades of globalization. Will this local revival happen? Can the Indian footwear industry, component trim sector not do without the helping hand of China? What do you think?
I'm strong. Hello. Yeah. Hello. Hello, Akhil. Hello. I'm a strong believer that every crisis is an opportunity. Crisis is an opportunity. There are two sides of the same coin. And I think this current crisis is an excellent opportunity to galvanize our industry and make sure we take full advantage and really develop our industry. I think historically and traditionally, we've always had the inputs to make very good products. I think we need to make a few changes which will help us to become a world-class footwear industry. I think the fault lies with all of us. We tend to take the line of least resistance. It's much easier to get products and developments done in China. It takes much longer to get it done in India. But I think we all need to look at it from a long-term point of view and invest in Indian manufacturers, invest in Indian components so that we can really create world-class products in India. I think Atmanirbhar, self-reliance is no longer a slogan. It's become a total necessity so that we don't see disruptions and uncertainties in our business. I think a lot of us have said the major thing we need to do is a change in mindset. That chalta hai, we have to get rid of it. We need to create world-class products. We need to take a lot of pride in our products. We need to become more innovative, invest in technology and development. I think we tend to take our Indian businesses, a little bit for granted. If I go to an exporter and I get products, I feel I'm not getting the same kind of product he's exporting. He tends to give me a product that's slightly inferior, feeling that domestic industry mein wo chal jayega. Same way, I will give better payment terms to an importer than I would to a local. So we need to make sure that we are not taking our domestic industry for granted. Whether it's a component manufacturer, whether it's a footwear manufacturer, retailer, wholesaler, we need to respect each other, work with each other, and remember that unless we create an entire ecosystem where we are constantly working with each other, we will never be able to achieve our goals. I think, again, the time is very right that we all align our interests in one direction and work as one team. And I also firmly believe that crises can compress time frames. What could have taken a couple of years, we can now do in a few months if we all are serious about it. And I think another thing is if we work together, we will definitely look at this period as a great thing that happened for our industry, which allowed us to propel us forward. So I'm really very optimistic. I think this forum is very good. I think we need to work together, remove some of the mindset changes that we need to do. And remember, we are capable of making world-class products and exporting everything we make. I don't think stopping imports is really the right solution because we need to benchmark ourselves against the best. So in that, I'm sorry, I will think differently because unless we have competition, we will never rise. I welcome foreign retailers as I welcome foreign products, but I want to make sure that I'm able to do better than them. And I think our factory should also think the same way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like Inder to also respond on the same question.
In that, I'll place an order if you disagree with me.
I was being a bit greedy, I must say, Rafiq bhai. And not only for myself, I think the opportunity is for all the people of all the manufacturers of India that if we are given a chance, we are pushed to make something better and up to the standards of what you're used to. I do understand totally. We cannot probably make everything today, but given a chance to manufacturers and the component manufacturers, we will come up to the level of your expectation. I can assure you that. And on the same note, I would like to really say that, this whole thing about support to the industry, there is no better person than Rafiq Malik Saab over here, who's been a great business partner, guide, and if I can use the word mentor, because we went through some crisis of representing a foreign brand for many years. And he was one person who gave us the courage to say that be Atmanirbhar, and this was 3 years back, that we will support you, launch your own brand, do your own thing. And, here we are, thanks to people like himself. I must say that he's been a great friend, guide, mentor. And, other people also like Reliance have been very, very supportive. So there are industry people who are there who, if you reach out to them, they will come forward to help you out, to make you do the things that you otherwise would not have thought of doing. And similarly, the component manufacturers, we have to give them the confidence as manufacturers of footwear that please do make things and come to us. And we have to give them the assurance that we will not import and we will try and use their components before we think about importing.
Thank you. You both have been very encouraging. Thank you so much. I have Mr.
Hello.
Kolkata. Mr. Gulati. Okay. I think. Vikas?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Can I also, Amit, take a liberty of asking a very precise question from Mr. Rafiq Malik, please?
Yes.
Rafiq sir, can you also please take a small question from me, please?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Rafiq sir, my point is that this entire concept and philosophy of Atmanirbhar, per se, I think the way it's building up, there is an end to it in a sense that there is an influence. There's a pitch to also influence the end customer. So in some ways, we are trying to also influence the end customer. Now, since you very heavily engage in the B2C sort of interface, how do you think the sales pitch and the selling really process really changing at the retail level? I mean, with the heightened Atmanirbhar pitch coming in, how things are going to be shaping at the retail level, sir, for the end customers?
As the end customer is looking at the product in terms of its quality and its price. I don't think the origin has any kind of a concept. And I think if Indian products are as good, customer is not, very particular that he wants only a foreign brand. That may be a very, very minute percentage of customers. Most of them are looking at products with a sense of, am I getting value for my money? Not necessarily cheap products, the right quality, the right product at the right price with the right comfort. So as far as the end consumer is concerned, we should not at all have any concerns whether there is a product made in India or made there. In fact, what we sell is almost 95% made in India, and the customer has no preference for either Indian made or made outside as long as the product matches his expectations in terms of quality and price.
Thank you, sir. Very, very encouraging. That's going to give further fillip to the Atmanirbhar sort of philosophy and the way of doing things. My last guest on the panel is Mr. N. Mohan. Mr. N. Mohan, sir, are you there with me, sir? Mr. N. Mohan, CEO, Clarks India.
Yeah. Vikas,
yes,
please go ahead.
Yes, Mohanji. Mohanji, in fact, I must, prior to that, thank Amit Chopra for sort of, linking us, patching us up with, a body called Invest India under the Ministry of Commerce, who works in the DIPT. And he's got us, people like you and me, in touch with him. And I'm so glad and so proud of you that as of now, you sort of, advise the industry bodies as well as Invest India on the non-leather footwear. And I keep reading lots about that, from your end also. Given that, how will the sort of emergence of non-leather footwear sort of impact the contours of the broader Atmanirbhar sort of your way of thinking and the complete philosophy? Is going to be impacting Atmanirbhar philosophy in some ways, the non-leather footwear?
I don't think so. To be very honest, like Amit mentioned, 86% of the world's consumption is non-leather footwear. We can't kind of deny that fact. In India, unfortunately, say I will just take 2 minutes and share a little bit of my experience of what I have seen around the world. Like 20 years back, I used to produce shoes in Italy. And then I used to produce shoes in Thailand and China. And eventually, when I came back to India to set up factories for my previous company. If I look at it, we are talking about the components today. One thing the industry need to kind of really kind of make up its mind, whether we are talking scale or we want to be a boutique manufacturer still. If you look at it from the customer perspective, in Italy, my manufacturing experience had been like we are always short of components because they're all small factories, manufacturers, who kind of always used to delay, and the world used to accept it. I used to make for 3 world-class brands at that point of time, and they used to accept the delays because it's a made in Italy and they can get away with it and all that. But when I worked in China, for example, it's all about the scale. Again, we worked with 3 top major brands in Europe and US, and we were importing and delivering it at the doorstep. It was about 20 years back, I'm talking about it. But if you look at the volumes and the quantity, if one season we produced, say, 500,000 pairs, the second season, the things were good, and we raised it up to 1.5 million pairs. And to be very honest, the component suppliers didn't have any problem in supplying it. Why I'm saying is because, we need to kind of, really look at it and look for us. My personal opinion is scale is the answer for India. We need to kind of build a scale. And to build up that scale, in fact, Rajkumar mentioned it, and also Mr. Akhil Ahmed in his opening statement said it. If you have to build up scale, we need this industry, component industry especially, needs a lot of handholding. A lot of handholding in terms of technology, in terms of plug-and-play models. The government need to kind of support them by creating the plug-and-play model, which, as if you remember, one of the papers which I sent to you, I guess, in which talked about about plug-and-play model, which has been kind of really, because the cost of capital is very high in India. And, if you can kind of facilitate, without the component industry, you can't kind of increase the footwear industry scale. And yes, the things like what people spoke about, Irshad especially spoke about the 3 things: delivery, quality, and price. All things can be taken care of. Really, if you have the industry really get handheld, that's another thing. So to answer your question, whether the non-leather footwear, there is a huge scope in non-leather footwear in India, especially in India. It's a huge scope. What I think is, like what is non-leather footwear? In fact, most of them are either going to it, running to China for developing molds, running to China for importing the soles. So we need to encourage the Taiwanese or any other companies to set up facilities out here. Mold making. We have only one mold making Chinese guy who's set it up in Ranipet. We need to encourage more and more people to come into India and help us develop that industry. Machineries, molds. Those are the kind of things, ecosystem we need to really create in this country. Unless those ecosystem is really created, we will continue to discuss another thing. Then my take on imports of footwear. See, India is the largest exporter, second largest exporter, and second largest consumer too. From the world's perspective, spent a lot of time and have engaged in CLE. Mr. Akhil Ahmed would kind of watch for it with the FDRA and various trade associations around the world. People look at India not only as a sourcing base, but also as a market. We should not, like the company I represent buys, exports about 7.5 to 8 million pairs from this country. Tomorrow, if you put a ban on all the export of full shoes, we don't necessarily import anything. We import things which cannot be from a brand perspective now. So if you say that unless and until the consumer is exposed to some new things and the competition, like Mr. Rafiq Malik rightly put it across, the industry will not improve. The protectionism has never helped anybody. Rather than doing this, rather say that please handhold, please help them, please get the government and other agencies to support the component industry. Focus on the component industry. If the component industry develops, the shoe industry will automatically develop. And definitely, non-leather footwear is an important area, and that is where the investments need to come in terms of mold making, sole making, and like Anish mentioned about PU, EVA, and those kind of things. All those things have to come into India. We are just looking at just leather, so TPR, TPU, but all the other things which are a must for the sports industry, we need to kind of really concentrate. And someone mentioned about all of us sit together and coming together with some kind of a paper saying that where the investments need to come. And those are the kind of things, actions we need to do it. That's what I need to, I want to.
Thank you so much. You really set up a lot of imperatives and takeaways for the component industry. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohan. Really appreciate it. Amit.
Well, I think we've had a wonderful evening. We heard many valuable thoughts. We had almost $1 billion worth of industry in the room. So now, before we call it a day, I would like to have a final viewpoint from Chairman CLE. CLE Chairman has decoded PM's Atmanirbhar Bharat mission perfectly. The idea behind the thought is to make SMEs more capable and competent. Sir, you have been influential in integrating the sector, whether it's tanning, garments, footwear, pollution board, component sector. You had all in confidence. So like the general who burned the boats upon landing, leaving only one option, succeed or die. So according to you, how should we move on to make the thought a reality of Atmanirbharta?
Thank you. Thank you, Amit. Thank you for listening. The greatest mind in India we have heard today. And my mission is completed today because this is exactly what I wanted to hear from everyone. When you are in, as a chairperson of council, you can't take your own decision, but you have to have the thoughts and minds of everybody. So unless you know that, it will be very difficult to have heart and mind, and we all have to appreciate. And nothing personal or against anybody, but it has been really good to hear from everyone. See, that basically, they say our limitation is our imagination. The more you limit, you less you imagine. So our imagination has to increase a lot. And this time has brought us more closer to the industry. Like I said earlier also, most of the dreams are made at home, and we have been dreaming a lot about all these 3 months. That's how I got a lot of ideas and thoughts, which I wanted to bring it to the industry. See, today, when we hear from every one of you, the most important thing is that we need to do the mapping of the industry. Mapping of the industry and identifying each and every segment, and has to be consolidated first. Number one, exporters. What do they want? Then importers, then retailers, then distributors, then component manufacturers. And I would say that at this point, if everyone, because you're all leaders of the industry, we all can sponsor the program Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we can make sure that we get a complete insight information of the people's thought and how we can take forward. See, the component industry or the footwear industry, what component industry is facing, the same we are facing with the retailers or the exporter today. Today, the exporters have defaulted our payments, the exporters have cancelled our goods. So there is a chain of reaction. At this point, there is more of a sympathy among ourselves. It's more than talking aggressive about the situation. Rather, we need to help each other at this moment of a time. So I would suggest Amit Chopra and your team to come back to you again after discussing with key people and also recording today's information, and reach out to the people and form a group and state and see how we can achieve. But this we cannot achieve in 2 to 3 years. So India has to take this opportunity right now with exports, with domestic, and also with Atmanirbhar, a unique self-reliant nation. So I would suggest that we have to act faster than stay in our places and then think about how we can do. No, we have to do it right now. And I am supporting you. As long as we are all together, we can definitely achieve. And to achieve this, we will form a team, and we will form you as an organization with everyone's acceptance and approval, because you are reachable to everyone. You're accessible to everyone. So as a shoes and accessories, we will start with this small exercise, and then we'll come back. And this kind of a meeting, especially after hearing from I can't remember each and every speaker, but they all spoke very well, including Mr. Rafiq Malik Saab, Mr. Mukhtarul Amin, Irshad, and Mohan, and Ketan Sangviji. Everyone in this forum has spoken really good, and I think we should take this forward. And Inderjit also, I just wanted to mention, see, we are also bound by certain rules and regulation, like GSP, WTO. Under the WTO regime, there is something called bound rate. You cannot exceed the bound rate. You cannot say that my import cost will be 300%, because then your product will be questioned where you are sending, not necessarily to that country, but any other country like Europe and America can also be questioned, because that is why India signed the WTO. And I don't think so, as far as my knowledge goes, the bound rate, unless it is unbound for certain products, we have to see the list. So already the duty is 35%, and we also have to see other countries. China is not the topic here, because China's import is, as far as our industry is concerned, I was very shocked. It's not 4% of export, but even if you include all the domestic, then we not even be 1% of the import what we are doing from China today. So China is not the issue for us. And I also mentioned yesterday to the Honorable Minister that we are not really importing much from China. We are just exporting 1%. Like I said, out of the necessity, we are doing it. But general import, like Mr. Mohan said, we need to have certain import, but at the same time, an opportunity should be given to the vendor. That's how I want Amit Chopra and Shoes and Accessories to come and get information. What kind of a components do we make? What kind of a portal? A portal may be, launched and say that this is what I'm writing product. Like Metro can say that I need this product. Can you source this? So there must be a directory which comes and shows that these are the product available. These are the component manufacturer. These are the exporters. These are the importer. These are the, ladies specialist product, children product. Unless we have that, we can't just guess that we are making 2.5 billion and we don't know who are making what. We need to come and close more together. And that's how I think we can achieve. And I'm sure that, thank you for listening. And I wanted this this is what I wanted to hear from all of you. And this is how we organize this show. And Amit Chopra and team have done excellent job here, and I'm sure that you all are also satisfied. And if you have anything that you don't agree with me, you are more than welcome to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Akhil sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. That's again very enlightening. And between Amit and me, if we can kindly invite Mr. Sanjay Lekha, Vice Chairman CLE, for his closing remarks, please. Sanjay Lekha ji, kindly. Sanjay ji, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Amit ji. Thank you, everybody. Akhil sir. Today's discussions have been extremely enlightening, and I think they have been very frank and at a good level. We have various brands here today. We have the retailers, we have product manufacturers, component manufacturers, and this open discussion I think it has opened up a lot of thoughts that can be discussed further. Partnerships that need to be created between different sectors of the industry really need to be pursued. And this is really the time that we must do it. I would just like to probably be repetitive about what we have discussed today, but I would like to run through a few points and just sum them up. The finished product industry, which is the footwear industry, and also from our perspective, I would say the leather goods industry, the leather garments industry, the saddlery and harness industry, we are all quite positive and optimistic about the future opportunities that will present themselves to us. On the export front, there is a very positive sentiment, especially because the European and American buyers are looking at shifting their sourcing to India. And this presents an opportunity which for once we have to take and capitalize on. This can really lead to a huge growth in our business, and this is something we need to work on. Also, on the domestic marketplace, I see that there will be increased opportunities for increasing local production, as imports will eventually subside, and in view of the recent developments, I think, and with this Atmanirbhar Bharat as a logo, I think a lot of additional opportunity will arise because the customer may tend to look more towards local product than an import. I would say now, to ensure a long-term sustainability and competitiveness of our industry, we have to have a much stronger and committed submats and components industry. I think we have all been talking about it, and I want to keep repeating that because that is really the crux of, that has to be the backbone of where our growth as products can come from. I think we all agree that our supply chain dependence on the Far East in the last few years has actually, it has led to a lethargy in the growth that could have happened to our industry, to our component industry, because it has always been easier to import. We have had nominated suppliers. The buyer just decides, lets us know. It is very simple. You place an order and you get the full quantity at the same time on the same day as per schedule. And this is really what we need here. So it's, as Irshad mentioned, it is the price, it is delivery, it is quality. But more than anything else, I think it's the delivery, in my opinion, which is the most important thing, and that is something that the component industry sometimes tends to overlook, because as we discussed, sometimes that chalta hai, 2 din aage, 2 din piche is an approach which has really hurt us quite badly over the years. I think this is now the time for the component industry to grow aggressively in terms of capacity, quality, product range. Also, I think very major investments need to be made by the component industry in R&D and in developing new product and bringing more innovation to the table. Because if that starts happening, that is when we will be actually able to go up to the brands and get local suppliers nominated by the overseas buyers. Another small aspect that I would like to mention here is that for a nomination, as Ketanji mentioned right at the beginning, you see, for a nomination, it is very important to understand what the buyer is looking for. Beyond all these things that we have already talked about, there is another factor which plays a very major role, and that is your social compliance. So I think, you see, we as product manufacturers have always been doing that. I mean, because that has been the only way for us to stay in business. Now, the component manufacturers must start creating their factories to meet social compliances. Because if they are able to do that, we are positive that we can bring the foreign buyers to come and visit and start nominating local suppliers for, I think the best of brands are looking at that today. And the opportunity lies as much for the component industry as it lies for the product industry today. The product industry, I'm quite sure, is fully committed to supporting the components industry, and this can be a win-win situation for everybody. And this is what can actually lead to an Atmanirbhar Bharat for our industry. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for summing it up. Well, we have great challenges and great opportunities. So with your help, we will meet them. It's been a pleasure torturing you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good evening.